It's almost impossible to keep fully up to date with the seasonal turnover of anime titles. There's too little time in the day to try everything, and let's face it, a lot of new titles too often prove themselves not worth the time. I personally prefer to pick something up when I've been suggested it, or when the hype train proves too strong for me to ignore. But recently, the ever-illuminating YouTube algorithm suggested me the trailer for the upcoming Apothecary Diaries anime, and out of curiosity I ended up giving this series a look. It's rare for me to thank the YouTube algorithm for anything, but on this occasion I'm willing to cut it some slack. Apothecary Diaries proved to be just as entertaining, if not more so, than I could have hoped, and I officially can't wait for the anime adaptation. This is a spoiler-free introduction to the series, and an explanation of why I think it deserves not to be missed. Also, I should emphasise I read this series in manga form, in particular the Nekokuragi version, but having shamelessly already run out of available chapters, I am now picking up the light novels and find both equally praiseworthy. Please remember to like, comment and subscribe, and I hope you enjoy the video. So, what genre is Apothecary Diaries? Well, I've already found myself at a stumbling block because despite having read over 50 chapters of its manga adaptation, I'm not quite sure. It's a mystery story, certainly, and sometimes even a murder mystery, but not all the time. It could be a historical drama, given its courtly setting which takes influence from Imperial China, but China is never explicitly named as the series' location, and many of its elements are fictionalized. It's very often laugh-out-loud funny, but it can also be serious and contemplative, even sad. What I'm trying to convey here is that Apothecary Diaries has an identity which is all its own, taking inspiration from classic mystery novels, from medical dramas, from shoujo manga and historical fiction to create a unique feel and atmosphere. The series has a flavour you can never quite expect, and one which sometimes changes from chapter to chapter. The series author Hyuga Natsu enjoys experimenting with genre and tone as much as her protagonist, Mao Mao, enjoys experimenting with poisons. Our main character, Mao Mao, is a 17-year-old girl from the Pleasure District who is kidnapped and sold into the Imperial Palace to work as a courtesan. Now, when you hear this, you probably think Mao Mao would be traumatized by such events, but this isn't the modern day, and Mao Mao isn't an ordinary main character. The narrative picks up after all this has happened, and she takes it all remarkably in her stride, even seeming borderline nonplussed. The greatest irritation of the situation to her is not the kidnapping itself, but the fact that her kidnappers continue to profit off selling her to the Imperial Palace. The majority of the courtesans who work in the inner palace will not get visited by the Emperor. That right is reserved to the foremost consorts, and the majority of those courtesans work as little more than maids on a day-to-day basis. Mao Mao is content not to be the centre of attention. She just wants to get on with her life, but her wit, intellect, and expertise in herbs and poisons ends up drawing attention anyway. Mao Mao has grown up in the household of the Red Light District's apothecary, and has absolutely no interest in the typical things of a girl her age, preferring to spend her time collecting obscure poisons, and even testing them on herself. Anyway, you'll probably have already guessed that Mao Mao is the best part of Apothecary Diaries. The series feels unique because Mao Mao herself is unique. She's funny, pragmatic, intelligent, entertaining, and just a little bit unhinged. She's like the love child of Gregory House and Yona from Akatsuki no Yona, and that combination really is as funny as it sounds. Generally, the series takes on an episodic Mystery of the Week structure, with Mao Mao tasked with solving various medical mysteries, courtly plots, or outright murder schemes with the help of an engaging supporting cast. Some of these mysteries extend over multiple arcs, probing into the past and backstories of the central characters, and are often very engaging. However, if I have one criticism of the mysteries in Apothecary Diaries, is that they usually have a pretty obvious culprit. The mysteries are more howdunnits than whodunits, which sometimes works against the series and makes the solution seem obvious, but that certainly doesn't hinder the entertainment factor of the series as a whole. The pick of the bunch from this series' supporting cast is unquestionably the influential court eunuch Jinshi, who takes an immediate interest in Mao Mao and appoints her as a kind of pseudo-personal assistant. These two really drive the series forward, and their dynamic is really funny. Jinshi is hugely popular in the court for his effeminate beauty and smooth talking, But Mao Mao is completely unbothered by this, and kinda just views him as an annoying employer who keeps forcing her into overtime shifts. Jinshi, on the other hand, becomes more and more fascinated with Mao Mao and her antics throughout the series, which goes about as well as you'd expect. Overall, they're an unusual and charming combination who really keep your interest as the series progresses. One of the best recurring jokes in Apothecary Diaries is how Jinshi keeps having to bribe Mao Mao with increasingly rare and expensive medicines. A person's life may be on the line, maybe even the fate of the whole country, but at the end of the day, all that Mao Mao really cares about is picking up her herbal paycheck, and who can blame her? If Apothecary Diaries has taught me anything, it's that there's no better way to spend your time than testing your immune system with lethal poisons. Not something I ever thought I would say in a YouTube video, but the series really is that entertaining, and if you're not excited for the upcoming Apothecary Diaries anime, you should be. There's no better way to prepare for the series than to read it beforehand in manga or light novel form, but if you're an anime only kind of person, just make sure not to miss it. If the anime is half as good as the original, then this show is going to be one of the best of the season, and maybe even one of the best of the decade so far. Apothecary Diaries might be about poisons, but the series itself is an absolute treat. Hope you enjoyed this video, and again, make sure to like, comment and subscribe.